Okay, my fine friends, this morning we're going to do ourselves a little bit of an art project. So we're going to do something called some Ted Harrison art. So we're modeling this art after a fairly famous Inuit First Nations artist named Ted Harrison. So I'll show you some of his art. We're going to try and do this one today. With the Inukshuk in the front and in the foreground and the sun in the background. What I want you to notice about Ted Harrison here is that he uses bright colors. He really is outstanding for that. He also uses something really interesting in his art, contours. And so what you notice is these lines in the sky and in the foreground. So we're going to try to imitate that. We're going to do ours a little bit differently though. These are white outlines. We're going to use black outlines. So it's going to be really important that you start today with a pencil. We're going to do three things basically in order this way. We are going to draw first, we're going to outline second, and then we're going to color third. So, like I say, we're going to take our time on this a little bit because this is what we call a project. Okay. So, first thing, like I say, you're going to need your pencil to do the drawing of this art first. So, if you can see, if you can get my dog out of the way, if you could see the art that I showed you before, it had a little Inukshuk in a corner here, and it has an Inukshuk in the corner here. Inukshuks are important in Inuit culture because they're like signposts. They're like telling other Inuit people. Things about the land, maybe about the animals in the area. They're symbols. So our Inukshuk is meant to kind of look like a person. That's what the Inuit try to make the Inukshuk look like. And they actually try to make it, they made them out of stones. So we're going to draw our Inukshuk first. That's going to be the first part of our drawing. And again, when I'm drawing this, I'm not going to draw it as a perfect oval because they're not perfect. They're imperfect forms. They're what we call organic forms. Okay, so let's start blah blah and let's start the art. So again, I'm drawing sort of a imperfect rock standing up, and I'm going to do two of them. Again, not perfect ovals. I want them to kind of be rough around the edges a little bit, just like I have there. Alright, now I'm going to draw a rock on top of this, but I don't want the rock to be too wide. I want it to be just about as wide as the two rocks that it's on top of. Then I'm going to draw another rock here on top of this third one that's going to be a bit longer. So something like, and let's see if I can get it right, a little bit longer than the second one. There we go. I went a little bit too big there, but that'll work. Okay, now the fifth rock that we're going to draw here is going to be much smaller than the other two here. So it looks kind of like a head. There we go. Hey, that's not bad. Yeah, so here's our Inukshuk. Eventually we're going to color that black, but we're just going to draw it in with our pencil for now. So we've got our Inukshuk done. That's a good start. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to simply draw my sun in the middle. Now it doesn't have to be a perfect circle, but a nice big sun right in the middle of this picture will add another element to it. Okay, so we've got our sun, we've got our Inukshuk. Things are looking good here. Now, what really, like I say, stands out about Ted Harrison's art are the contours. And so that's what we're going to do now. We've done our Inukshuk, we've got our sun, we've got our two forms in there. So the contours basically are just curved lines on the page. And we're going to outline these eventually, so they'll stand out even more. Okay, so there, I just made sure that I didn't draw over the sun. I've made it look like my contour is going behind the sun. So I drew my contour into the one side and then picked it up on the other side to make it look like that contour is going behind. I'll do a couple more like that. Maybe this one right here. All right, so we're just doing nice curved lines. Again, I want that contour to go behind the Inukshuk, not over it, so I'm going to make it look like it's going behind. Alrighty, hey, this isn't bad at all. One more contour, I think. There we go. Excellent. Okay, so I've got my Inukshuk, I've got my sun, I've got my contours drawn in. Now next what I'm looking at is I've done all the drawing now. Now I'm going to do the outlining. So this works best with a black marker. Okay. You can also use a black pencil crayon. So use a black marker if you have it. You can also use other dark colors. You could use a dark blue to outline. You could use a brown to outline if you don't have black. But black is certainly the best. Okay, you've probably done this before. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my black marker and I'm going to outline my contours and all my forms. So what I mean by all my forms is, so that's a contour. My forms are my sun. I'm going to outline all the rest of these contours. And then when I get to my Inukshuk, when I showed you the Ted Harrison art that we're modeling this after, he had it colored in all black. So that's what we'll do with our Inukshuk, is we'll color it in all black. Okay, and I'm not going to color the whole thing because you don't want to sit here for 20 minutes and watch me color or outline. Okay, so I've done my outlining, or I've done some of my outline. I'm not going to do it all because, like I say, you don't want to sit here and watch me do that. But you do it at home. Take your time with it. Once I'm done my outlining, you'll notice that sometimes the pencil line will be outside. There's no possible way I can get my outlining exact. So sometimes the pencil line will come outside of your outline. So once it's dry, take your pencil and go back and erase those lines, and it'll make it look much nicer. Okay, now we're into the coloring phase. So I did my drawing here. I've outlined everything, hypothetically. And then I've done my erasing. Now it's time to color. Well, Ted Harrison, forgot one thing. Inside your sun, you can do some contours as well. Oops. So I added those afterwards, but that's okay. I'll outline them and then I'll color. When you're coloring, you want to use some bright colors. So for the sun, bright color, obviously, yellow will work for here. Good, and some bright reds in there, and some oranges will help. And again, I'm not going to color the whole thing. But when you're coloring the foreground, you want to use some really bright colors. So when I'm coloring this foreground, I'm going to use some nice bright greens, and some blues. Okay, I want outstanding bright colors for this Ted Harrison art. Okay, there it is. Again, I'm not going to color the whole thing because you don't want to sit here and watch me color. So follow this procedure. Draw, outline, color. Do yourself a nice little Ted Harrison art with an Inukshuk in the foreground, the sun in the background, some nice contours, and take your time. Enjoy this little art project. I love Ted Harrison's art. I think he's a brilliant artist. I love his vibrant colors. I love his forms, his organic forms. I think he's amazing. And enjoy this. Have fun with it. It's Friday. It's Fun Friday.